Welcome to History Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Royce Lewis rolls into postseason for Twins with homers in first two at-bats. Excavating the birthplace of Scotland's tartan industry. Ed Young dies at 91, infused his illustrations with Chinese tradition. Will oil hit $100 a barrel? Egypt's rushed election shows Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is nervous. Royce Lewis rolls into postseason for Twins with homers in first two at-bats. The Toronto Star. Minnesota Twins rookie Royce Lewis made a strong comeback in the team's postseason after missing 2 weeks due to a strained left hamstring. In his first two at-bats, Lewis hit 2 home runs, becoming the second rookie in Twins history to hit a postseason home run. He also became the third player in MLB history to hit a home run in his first 2 postseason plate appearances. Lewis' performance helped put the Twins in the lead in Game 1 of their AL wildcard series. Excavating the birthplace of Scotland's tartan industry. BBC. Archaeologists have discovered the birthplace of Scotland's modern tartan industry during excavations at Bannockburn's Wilson Mills. The site was home to a large mill complex in the 1850s, where tartan was first made on an industrial scale. The Wilson family, who owned the mills, were able to create a monopoly on tartan production after the Act of Proscription, which banned the wearing of tartan in the Highlands, was repealed. The Wilsons secured contracts to supply tartan for Scottish regiments and were well placed to benefit from the romanticized views of Scotland that became popular in the 19th century. Ed Young dies at 91, infused his illustrations with Chinese tradition. New York Times. Will oil hit $100 a barrel? Economist. Saudi Arabia and its allies in OPEC have managed to reverse the decline in oil prices by implementing output cuts and extending them into the second half of the year. This, combined with signs of a slowing global economy and lower inflation in the U.S., has led to a 30% increase in oil prices, pushing them above $90 a barrel. However, there is debate among traders as to whether this rally will continue or if prices will fall below $90 by Christmas. The bulls argue that oil demand has remained resilient and supply cuts are filling producers' pockets. They predict that prices will reach triple digits before the end of the year. On the other hand, the bears believe that the recovery in China's oil demand has already happened and that high oil prices will lead to increased inflation and a tighter monetary policy in the U.S. They also argue that crude inventories outside of Cushing remain high and that the market deficit will shrink next year as non-OPEC production increases. Overall, the short-term outlook for oil prices is bullish, but the bears may have the upper hand in the long run. Egypt's rushed election shows Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is nervous. Economist. Egypt's military dictator, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is set to win the upcoming presidential election on December 10, allowing him to rule until 2030. However, there are doubts as to whether he will last that long. Al-Sisi's popularity has waned due to his handling of the economy, with soaring food prices and inflation causing widespread discontent among ordinary citizens. The Egyptian government has struggled to meet the demands of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which includes selling state-owned assets and floating the currency. Furthermore, the government's refusal to divest the army's economic empire is crowding out private firms and hindering economic growth. Egypt now faces the daunting task of repaying $29.2 billion in external debt next year while trying to attract private investors who are wary of the country's economic instability. Although al-Sisi is expected to win the election, there is a possibility of unrest if rising prices continue to spark discontent among the population. Al-Sisi's current term is said to be his last according to the constitution, but he changed this in a 2019 referendum to allow himself to run again. China's Consul General in New York pitches a positive economic outlook. South China Morning Post. Huang Ping, the Consul General in New York, has rejected the narrative that China's economy has entered a period of structural stasis or decline. He argued that China remains resilient and that predictions of China's economic collapse have proven false. Huang played down the lopsided nature of trade flows in China's favor and said that decoupling or the so-called de-risking would end up hurting U.S. businesses. However, this message was countered by a less cheery picture painted by attendees during coffee breaks and side panels. David Marr examines the blood on his family's hands in this epic feat. The Sydney Morning Herald. David Marr's book Killing for Country, A Family Story is a powerful exposé of the violence that occurred during the colonization of Australia. Marr focuses on the Ur family, of which he is a descendant, and their involvement in the killing of Aboriginal people. The family's career unfolded under the patronage of Richard Jones, a merchant, politician and philanthropist who engaged Edmund Orr in expanding his pastoral holdings. Edmund's son Reg went on to become an officer in the Native Mounted Police, a force responsible for the murder of Indigenous people. Reg's younger brother Darcy was also involved in the force and gained a reputation as a cheeky larrikin. He was responsible for the murders of Indigenous people in several regions of Australia. Marr shows that the colonizers developed a discreet system for clearing Aboriginal people from their land through slaughter without risking interference from the authorities. The violence was often extreme and fueled by the spoils that the native police gained, such as access to women. Marr's research, which draws on colonial newspapers, archival documents, and interviews with family and local researchers, provides a comprehensive account of the killing of Aboriginal people during the colonization of Australia. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.